Thank you all very much for the chance to speak here today and to share our experiences. We're both incredibly intimidated and excited to be here. We're going to be talking a little bit about our experiences, which is our focus is going to be slightly different, or has been slightly different. We've been trying to actually look at being innovative with the Totara LMS to actually refocus ownership of the information and the content within our LMS on the learner and not on the organisation. So it's actually flipping it upside down to what we understand the traditional Totara model to be. So it was quite an exciting journey for us for that.
Right, so who are we? So our online platform, which has been branded Health Learn, currently hosts 16,800 online healthcare users from approximately 88 organisations from across the South Island. We're a multidisciplinary workforce, from cleaners, hospital aides, administration staff, midwives, nurses, through to consultants. We're geographically diverse. We have large urban areas through to isolated high country locations and pretty much everywhere else in between. We're in multiple locations, from rest home communities, large tertiary hospitals, education, medical clinics, home-based carers, pharmacies, NGOs, private and specialty clinics. We use the principle around one health system. The different divisions of the healthcare system basically don't compete with one another. The one healthcare dollar is used to basically maximise patient care, minimise duplication, and our role is to maximise and facilitate access to quality education, regardless of where you are or where you work.
Learning and technology advisor.
Our journey so far. So pretty much our journey started 5 years ago when we started with Moodle, with the Moodle pilot, and we had a couple hundred users, and then an upgrade to Totara 2.4 with a few thousand users. After that, an upgrade to Totara 2.9, where we now have close to 17,000 users. We started to use standalone courses and have further enabled integrated learning through learning plans and using the programs and certification functionality of Totara. We've begun to set up and use within Totara hierarchies, organisational, managerial and positional data to better support manager approvals, scheduling with face-to-face, calendar scheduling and reporting. We're also at the moment well under the way towards an upgrade to Totara 9, which we'll hope to make available to our users in the not too distant future. So most Totara LMSs are driven by HR systems, or they need HR systems to get the users in there. Within healthcare, we have a lot of difficulties around diverse HR systems, legacy health systems, combined over things like being restructured and merged. So we have a whole lot of legacy systems that have been folded into one. Our old systems are not particularly useful when they do not sync well. We have a problem with unique identifiers, multiple versions of the same person, and one person having multiple roles and multiple IDs. Not everyone is on the same HR system, which makes it very difficult, and they use different vendor software. Many of our smaller healthcare organisations don't actually have an HR system, and a number of them do not supply their staff with a work email. We don't have a unique identifier for staff working within the health system. So that's an interesting area for us. HR systems usually drive LMS user accounts, so the philosophy that we've had to use has to be different.
Although it was a bit of an issue, it really gave us an opportunity to be innovative, and that was actually restructure and to re-look at what our philosophies were and how we're actually going to address it. The key philosophy that we're approaching is the fact that Health Learn was to be owned by the learners and not by the organisation, because it's there for the benefit of the patients, not for the organisation to gather data and to get stuff. There is a key recognition that people who work in healthcare actually embrace and are committed to lifelong learning, which is a key component of their professional responsibilities. Healthcare doesn't need to compete with healthcare, even with education. I know it's hard to believe, which means that multiple systems are redundant, so trying to combine things as much as possible is really important. We don't make a profit, we're there to provide a service. One vote a dollar, I don't think anybody here would be upset if we actually make better use of that health dollar, which then frees up more time, more resources, especially clinical time, for patient care, which is where our focus is. We're trying to break out of that whole concept of working in silos and working in isolation. So our system was built to actually ensure that the whole health system that we're part of uses the same educational and support resources that contribute to the maintenance of standards and consistency, and then reduces the amount of time when a healthcare worker moves around the health workforce. If someone has knowledge and skills in one area of the health workforce, it's really useful to have them take it with them to another area of the health workforce, so we're not repeating and duplicating things. So our clinical vision and the core philosophies that go with that are that staff are going to be empowered through the approach that we use to curate their own record of learning as they move through their careers, their roles and their workplaces. That staff have access to consistent and transportable learning experience regardless of where they are or their workplace. Staff themselves, and it's quite radical, that they're actually aware of their own professional needs and they can and will self-identify learning when those opportunities exist. So we look more about providing those opportunities. And we're looking at the fact that actually the learning records, they belong to the learners, the staff. They're not belonging to us as an organisation. So we had to actually recognise that and come up with some solutions around that.
So to turn that on its head, the goal became to reorientate the Totara site to be user-driven, not by the manager or by the organisation. And this approach that we've taken has been embraced by users and is supported by healthcare organisations as it saves them time and reduces duplication.
So what did we do? Well, we opened up the learning plans. We made them as basic and open as possible so that staff could use those to help drive their learning. We did some in-system modifications, a bit of tutoring behind the scenes, which meant that we could enable staff to select their own managers, to select their own workplaces, to select their own position, which meant that staff were then responsible to keep their own information up to date. And also looked at how do we support our staff. So one of those was actually using learning frameworks or developing learning frameworks using programs in order to assist staff to self-identify career and knowledge development.
So with that comes a number of risks. And to manage those risks, the accuracy of data for reporting means that basically we're reliant on those users to keep their learning profiles up to date. Computer literacy is a big issue amongst the healthcare sector. So there are a wide range of knowledge and skills in the workforce, basically from poor reading and writing to highly competent. Communication, ensuring that all the people kept up to date with information and changes. Education and training to use the system so people know where to look and where to find information, and the support to use the system, which at the moment for us is limited to glossaries, forums and emails.
So what were our solutions? Well, our first one off the top of the rank was, of course, working with our Totara support partner. Often we didn't know what we didn't know, and that's been a really valuable experience. Being able to discuss the direction and philosophy of our LMS with experts in the field meant that we could avoid some really tricky pitfalls and little wee potholes that we were actually almost about to walk into. They've actually taken us on a journey rather than just provide a service, and that's something that we're really grateful for. We've developed this role called super users, which is a small group of people who we initially had a face-to-face course, but that's now transitioned to online, surprisingly enough. And they're local support people because of the geographical variety of where we work, who can just help out with basic things. So how do I reset my password? How do I create an account? How do I update this and update that? So we're kind of training and upskilling our local staff. Offering basic support, basic computer courses, so trying to raise the base IT knowledge and skills of our workforce, both internally and also externally using the Computing for Free courses. And trying to develop systems that work for the user. That was the key factor and the key part of our solution approach. Each individual staff member has a completely different professional development plan and direction. A nurse is not a nurse, is not a nurse, is not a nurse. They're completely and totally unique to where their knowledge and skills are going. Using learning frameworks, we're able to actually assist staff and to identify career plans and developments. We've located some information about the programs, which are the collections of courses, within glossaries, within our help screens, and those sort of areas, so that staff can actually look at these particular groups of courses and go, is this where my career is going to be going? If I need to work in an area such as cardiology, what are the courses I need to take to get me to where I need to go? One of the key things with regards to actually looking at how do we make our system work is looking at, in horror of horrors, some customisation, something which we've tried valiantly to avoid. Bringing workplace manager and position information to the dashboard. One of the things that has increased our speed to get onto Totara 9 is actually there's a lot of information in the dashboard. The one thing that we don't have is actually have that information such as the hierarchy details which are there. So this means that for us it will bring the majority of our information to one place on a dashboard when users log in, which will be a lot clearer and easier. So just to wind up, I'd just like to acknowledge Karen Gilly from MBIE, and just the fact that she was the one who initially started the CDHB and West Coast DHB on our e-learning pathway and journey. So thank you, Karen.